What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Alright, this story's called Park and Employee Parking versus I'm Not an Employee. Not sure if this is the right sub, but it sort of fits. I've been reading posts and it reminded me of this. Hope you enjoy. I'm a female and 24 at the time. This happened over the course of a few weeks, about 2 years ago. I was working as a construction/design engineer for hospitals, plumbing and air conditioning. I work for a company that's hired by the hospital, not for the hospital itself. My company had been hired to do an emergency room renovation on an old hospital, and the plans for the existing building were really old or damaged or just didn't exist anymore. As low man on the totem pole, I got the fun job of going out to the hospital to document/investigate the existing building. Lots of going up on ladders and looking above the ceiling to track down pipes and ducts and such. Because this was an ER and therefore 24 hours a day, we had to time our investigation for non-busy times, namely 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the middle of the week. I was also working my normal office hours because my job offered overtime or in lieu hours, and I needed the overtime pay. College loans. So for all these interactions, I was exhausted and just didn't give a crap. So on to the story. I had to park in the hospital parking garage on the top floor to be out of the way of patients and visitors. I had finished early because an emergency had come into the ER and I had to get out of the way. I had some extra time, so decided to close my eyes for a bit before driving to the office. When I was woken up by a tapping on my window, a man was peering in the window. We will call him Parking Dude. I waved at him thinking he was just making sure I was alright. I was sleeping in a hospital parking lot. Parking Dude gestured for me to roll down my window, so I cracked it to hear him better. He gruffly declared that employees are to park in the back lot or on the street if that's full. Next time I'll have you towed. He then turned and marched back to his golf cart, which he blocked me in with. As I called out, "I don't work here." He left, I left, and went to work thinking it was a one-time deal. Little did I know. Over the next few visits, I came back to my car to find increasingly angry parking tickets about parking in employee parking from now on. They were printed on 4A and very obviously homemade with blurry hospital logo in word art, parking enforcement, across the top. The notes threatened booting, towing, and demands for my supervisor's name so I could be reported. I wish I still had them to share with you. My coworkers and I had quite a laugh over them. I even left a note on my dash saying I wasn't an employee, and the next ticket had a rant about lying and that you will be written up for lying once I get your supervisor's name. Then one morning I came out to find Parking Dude waiting for me. He had blocked my car with his golf cart and was grinning at me like a cat who got the creep. I walked up to him and Parking Dude said, "Employees have to park in the back lot. You are in so much trouble. I demand to speak to your manager." Yes, he really said it. "Give me their name and number and give me your manager's name." He did have my car blocked in. I tried to explain that I wasn't an employee. I pointed out my outfit, work boots, jeans, safety glasses, and a tool belt with flashlights, tape measures, lasers, and a clipboard with my drawn plans, and told him that this is where a hospital admin had told us to park. But he insisted that my disguise wasn't going to trick him and demanded to speak to my manager. I was so exhausted and wasn't really up to arguing, so I just pulled out my business card and my boss's card and handed them over. I had told my boss about this and he just told me to ignore it as he had confirmed with the hospital that's where I was supposed to park. This dude pulled out his phone and called my boss and reported me. My boss, an older gentleman who is also president of the company, later told me that he had told Parking Dude that he had to let me leave or he was calling the police. When the dude hung up, he he told me,
I'm letting you leave this time, but next time you park here, I'll boot your car and find your real manager's number and report you. Some trick with your friend won't work.
He got in his golf cart and zoomed away. Luckily, my boss found this whole thing hilarious. It was about a week before I went back. Bad weather equals busy ER equals no work for me, and I was almost done with my task. I would be back after construction started, but it's all on hold now because of Brovit. I had finished for the day once again and headed out to my car to find that he had sort of done what he had threatened. There was a thick chain looped through the handle of my driver's side rear door and a cinder block all tied together with a large padlock. I knew this guy was a bit nutty, but I also had figured out that he didn't have any real authority, so to find this half clever, half poorly thought out ball and chain attached to my car was a bit of a surprise. Now, I got into engineering because I like solving problems. I actually don't really like math, even if I'm not half bad at it, and this wasn't a particularly complex problem. I simply rolled my back window down and lifted the cinder block and excess chain into the car and then drove away. I passed parking dude on my way out. To say he was shocked was an understatement, and I gave him a jaunty wave as I drove by. It was a cold drive back to my office with the window open, but it was worth the look on his face. When I got to the office, I had to go in and sign out the bolt cutters and was followed by a parade of my coworkers to see it for themselves. I had to go back one more time. I was eager to see what parking dude might do after his last plan failed. I came out to find he had tried the chain and cinder block bit again. This time he had wrapped the chain around the bottom of the wheel a few times and had the cinder block tied pretty close to the wheel and the chain through the handle again. It was definitely chained in a way that would take a lot more ingenuity to get out of, or a pair of bolt cutters I hadn't returned to the office, just in case. I cut through the chain, unchained the car, and then loaded the whole lot into my trunk. Parking dude must have been harassing some other person because he only pulled up as I was backing out of the spot. He blocked my car again with his cart and jumped out. He came to my window and I did roll it down just to see what he had to say.
Hey, where are the chains? How did you get loose? This is stealing.
It is stealing to take stuff that he attached to my car?
I will have your job for this.
I never did hear the rest of his rant. As I yelled, "Dick, and I'm not an employee!" During a pause for breath, I drove around his cart and away. It was the most dramatic exit of my life, and will probably never be topped. It was my last day there, for now. I've since gotten a new car, so I'm not sure if I'll run into parking dude again. I'd like to think he is still puzzled over how I managed to unchain my car. My boss did lodge a complaint, but I don't think anything ever came of it. Anyway, that's my I don't work here story. Hope it was worth a read. That was worth a read. How does that guy still have a job though? What? I'm confused as to that guy's role. Who does he think he is? Oh my god. He's lucky OP was so chill about it, honestly. Alright, this story's called Beware! I don't work here, cuts both ways. Hi, saw this Reddit the other day on YouTube. Now I must watch and read them all. That's gonna take a minute. Here's the cast, there's me, and there's Prick. The story. I just finished playing a few hours of Demon's Souls when my min pin started to beg for, miniature pincher. There we go. Miniature pincher started to beg for some attention. It was around 3 p.m., so she was prob hungry. I grabbed my keys and drove a few blocks to my local VA. I just needed puppy food and a bottle of Tapatio hot sauce to complete my shopping trip for today. I live in a famous city in Southern California that has a zoo, fish zoo. Fish zoo! Ha! Ha! Fish zoo! Oh, it's me! They were talking about me! Ha! YouTube. Okay, me, Daily Dose, Reddit, Zach, Captain. Sorry, I'm excited. Fish zoo and wild zoo with no cages. Unless it's just a coincidence that they said fish zoo. But I choose to thank their viewer. I love you. Anyway, I grabbed the puppy food first, then headed for my hot sauce. As luck would have it, there was only one left, but it was on the top shelf and in the back corner. I'm 5'10" and I have a pretty good reach, but this one was a bit too far for me. I looked around for an employee, but could not find one. I decided to just hang tight and simply ask a normal customer that was tall if they would not mind lending me a hand. The first guy that walks by my area happened to be tall and and I decide to ask for help. Hi, sorry to bother you. I get cut off.
I don't work here.
Now, I think to myself, don't end up on Reddit. So I quickly say, sorry, I know you don't work here. I was just wondering if you would be so kind as to lend me a hand. You are taller than I, and I am not able to reach a bottle. Would you be able to assist me? I figured that if I told him I understood that he is not an employee and I am simply asking for a quick hand from another human being, he may be cool with it. Wrong. In the douchiest way possible.
Hell no.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. I figured. He is under no obligation to help me. Don't be rude. Don't say anything else. Next person that walks by, same question. They say sure, no sweat, and hand me the bottle. I thank them for the help and off I go to pay for everything. The 15 items or less line was long, so it took me a bit to get out of the store. When I get to my car, Prick was struggling to open the trunk of his car and not drop all his groceries. He had tried to carry a bunch of bags on both arms and also carried a few boxes on top, using his chin to hold it down. He was a few moments away from toppling over and losing his eggs and fruits bag when he noticed someone nearby, me, and said,
Quick, I'm about to lose my grip. Please help.
I stopped, turned my head until he saw me, and I am guessing he knew what was coming from his expression. I don't work here. I unlocked my car, and as I was getting in, I heard something hit the floor, and he started yelling something. I don't know what he said because I was too busy not giving a single fridge about that prick. I did see in my rear view mirror his eggs were on the ground, splattered, and some fruit rolling away under some nearby cars. You don't want to help a person? That's fine. Just don't expect help in return. Edit. Thank you all for the tip about incident thing. I fixed it. Also, sorry for long post and any other errors I am writing on phone. By the way, this happened yesterday. That's why I had so much detail. Now, I love poetic justice. All right, I 100% do. This is poetic. There's beauty to it. However, I still feel bad for that guy, man. Do you know how freaking frustrating that is, just dropping your eggs? Man, poor guy. I mean, he was being a jerk, but in poetic justice, yes, OP did nothing wrong, but have to advocate for the moral high ground, man. That's even more beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm bored. Alright, this story is called My Starbucks Encounter. Oh lordy, this isn't quite as crazy as some that I've read, but has me heated. Trigger warning, mention of sexual assault. So the local Starbucks is on severely reduced hours due to a skeleton crew in Brovit. It is located in a good-sized strip mall. I got off a 14-hour overnight shift and needed a quiet place to pump. I am breastfeeding my baby. I pulled into the strip mall near Starbucks and pumped. For reference, I had myself covered pretty well, and I drive a large SUV, so it's not easy to tell what I'm doing. I also had my hoodie covering most of the actual pump part. I also made a point to park a minimum of 4 empty car spots between me and anyone else. This old guy, 40s to 50s, gets out of his car and comes towards mine, yelling. I crack my window. It's winter and freezing here.
It's about time you got here. Do you know how long I've been waiting for my coffee?
I'm sorry, I don't work here.
What do you mean you don't work here? It's 8:30 and I want my coffee. You should have been here hours ago. How long will I need to wait?
He's getting closer to my car. I cover myself even more. I shouldn't say normally you can barely see any skin when I pump, but I'm completely covered because I didn't want some random old man seeing anything at all. I don't work at Starbucks. Please leave me alone.
Are you kidding me? There's no excuse for this. There is no reason for you to be closed. What are you doing?
Please back away from my car.
I'm calling the cops. You're exposing yourself to me. That's illegal. I'm gonna get you fired and arrested for sexual harassment.
Please do. Please call the police. According to Section XYZ of Law ABC, it is not illegal for me to breastfeed or pump anywhere my child is allowed, with the exception of a religious institution. This is a public parking lot. While I worship coffee, it is not a recognized religion. However, harassing or even assaulting someone while breastfeeding or pumping is a crime. And seeing as how you're not only acting threatening while I'm technically breastfeeding, there's a pandemic and you're also breaking the social distancing rules, which can get a hefty ticket here. All of what I said is true. My lactation consultant gave me a little card that cites the specific laws that protect nursing mothers in the place where pumping is allowed. I keep it on me just in case because I was a nervous first-time mom.
I'm calling the police.
He stumbles back to his car. I moved my car further away. 25 minutes pass. Starbucks was still closed. I finished pumping in moderate peace. He kept watching my car, and unfortunately, no police showed up. I almost wish I could have switched it up on him, but I wasn't going out of my way for that. I never did get that coffee. I also must be fired from Starbucks for never opening and serving this upstanding patron his previous coffee, or I guess Precious. The kicker? A Dunkin' Donuts was literally across the street. Another Starbucks was about 2 miles down the road as well, but he waited well over 30 minutes for this one. Edit, I meant to say he was in his 60s, maybe 50s, not his 40s. Yo, back when I was younger, I used to not understand why breastfeeding in public was an issue, but for the bad reason. I was like, bro, they're pulling their boobies out. Why is it okay? But it's stupid. This was back when I was 13 maybe. And I know that's not really the subject of this post, but still, there was obviously some stupidity coming from that guy's brain. Anyway, that's actually really clever for your lactation consultant to give you that kind of card. Because, dude, a lot of people have issue with it for some stupid reason. It's ridiculous. I mean, I think it's less of a problem now. As someone who's never breastfed a baby before, I don't know 100% for sure, but I think it's more or less, people are more okay with a woman literally feeding her child. Anyway, crazy old guy, don't scare breastfeeding mothers. It's not nice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.